we're cold, we're married to each other, and we like to look at things and judge them, so it's the Icy Gays.
Hello, Icy Gays.
Hi.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for being on the show.
Of course,
So
happy to have
happy
you.
to do it.
Thanks for letting us into your home.
Welcome.
I want to start the name. It's iconic. It's immediate. I told you it was like the first thing I heard when I worked in the art world. Tell us where it came from.
Sure. So I'm going to take credit for it.
You get all the credit.
It's me. So, when we started buying this work and hanging it on our walls, I was like, you know what, if this is sitting in our home in North Dakota, like no one's ever seeing this. So let's put it on the internet and see what happens. And we started sharing it on Instagram. And I said, we live in North Dakota. We're cold. We're married to each other. And we like to look at things and judge them. So it's the Icy Gays. Voila.
And so I sort of want to start back at the beginning and track through where this love of art and your lives have sort of intertwined. Now, Rob, you were born in Alabama. It's not exactly the most art-rich place in the country.
No, it's definitely not.
Did you have any draws to art as a child?
Not a lot. I was actually raised very conservative, and my parents were kind of against a lot of the art that was happening because it was against their religion, or they felt that it was, inappropriate, that kind of thing. And so, but I did, I was, fun story. My earliest exposure to art that I can remember has to do with Ukrainian Easter eggs. So I wanted to buy a python when I was young. And my mom said, you know what? You can buy a python if you make the money to buy it. And I said, game on. And so I worked with a Russian history professor at Auburn University to learn how to make Ukrainian Easter eggs. And I sold enough of them to earn about $300. And I bought Lucille Ball the ball python. And it was amazing. But I think just kind of learning that idea of like design and color and just really inspired me to like learn more about it. Opened my mind to like Escher and all these other things. So I think that was probably my earliest memory that I can think of.
You eventually went to undergrad at Asbury University.
I did.
Yeah. Did you ever check out any of the shows at the Asbury U Art Gallery?
That's a great question. Not that I remember. I think I will say, it's a great question because I was a biochemistry major. So I was not really looking at art and design and everything. It was very much like in the lab, doing science experiments, studying for the MCAT. So I think it really wasn't actually part of my my college education. Yeah. I will say that because we were a liberal arts school, so I had to take intro to art history, and that did expose me to some artworks that I hadn't even seen because I was so sheltered when I was growing up, in Alabama. So I think, but no, I can't recall a single artwork that I saw there. Sorry. Sorry, Asbury.
Was there any in art history that stuck with you?
Right. I think I was actually familiar with the what was it called? The show with the Piss Christ and the Sharks and the Damien Hirst show. I can't remember. Oh, it was the group show in Britain. But I was familiar with that group show because of how controversial it was. So I remember hearing about this horrifying art show of all these people in Britain doing terrible things and that it was coming to America and how terrible that was. So I do recall that controversy.
Now, for medical school, you went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville.
I did.
Did you ever use the tunnels under the Vandy Hospital?
Yeah, all the time. Oh yeah, totally. Yes, we would quickly get from one side of the campus to the other. So I would wheel people on gurneys through those tunnels. Yeah. So like when we were in emergency, we would take them. That's what you do.
Now, you ended up moving to Florida for your residency at UF Hospital. You matched there, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you met Eric. Yes. And now, Eric, you were also attending UF at the time.
I was.
And you were studying
political theory.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But first you grew up in Richmond, Virginia.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I read that your parents designed and built the houses you lived in as a kid.
They did. It was very cool. We had like an architect that they always worked with, and every house that I grew up in, which we moved around a lot because my mom would always want to build a new house as soon as we were finished with the one we had just moved into. So yeah, always had really cool houses that I grew up in. It was great.
Would you consider that to be your first introduction to art and design?
Yeah, it was. Like the most formative house for me was like this really cool late 1970s contemporary house. And my mom had gone to Reynolds Gallery, which she had bought a lot of artwork from there for the house. And there were like custom stained glass windows that were made inside the house. So a lot of things about it that were very artsy and really introduced me to even thinking about having art in the home.
Was there any cool, besides like the stained glass windows, any cool features, any cool gadgets that your parents built into the house?
Well, one cool thing was that like 6 of the rooms on the main floor had these 18-foot vaulted light wells. So there were skylights up above and then these like 18-foot shafts that came down into the main house. That was really neat. And then the floors were done in like this fake brick, but they made like pathways through the house, like through some of the rooms. Like almost like desire paths that you would take, totally. Like had a central vacuum system that was kind of radical for that time. I would play with my toys, and like bad toys would get sucked into the central vacuum system. My mom would have to go fish them back out, but yeah, so it was really neat.
And then you went to VMFA a lot as a kid.
I did, yes.
Was there any one piece in any show that amplified your like of art that really started it?
I mean, it was the whole Sidney and Francis Lewis collection, just like the modern art.
And what made you choose political theory as a major?
Well, when I was an undergrad and I was in political science and started realizing that you could talk about Marxism openly, and then my professors were like, you should actually, you could be a professor. And I was like, wait, I could get paid to talk about Karl Marx? I didn't even realize that was an option. So I got further and further into political theory from my undergrad, and then my professors kind of encouraged it. And I'd always thought philosophy was so cool, and like, oh, if only I could be a philosopher, and then I could. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Why did you choose UF? Because obviously that decision's led to a lot.
Sorry, UF, but it was my safety school, and they gave me the best financial offer.
So you met there. Tell us how you two met.
Adam for
Online.
Adam.
Yes. Yeah, Adam for Adam. A dating website, as he likes to call it.
I thought it was a dating website.
I was like,
someone else thought it was something different. But, yeah.
All I got was a handshake.
At the end of our first date. Yes.
A handshake.
That was like third base for me. Yeah.
You came out in residency, correct?
Yes, the first day of residency.
Okay.
So I was extremely, well, I mean, Asbury, you're not allowed to be a practicing homosexual at Asbury, where I went to college. Still not, I don't think. But Vanderbilt was much more open, and I started meeting people there that were, more liberal and more accepting, but I wasn't comfortable coming out then. And so I remember the first day of residency, we were talking about our fellow residents, and my best friend Debbie was like, I think Ned might be gay. And I was like, Ned's definitely gay. And she's like, are you gay? And I was like, yes. And I think it was just a really special moment, like to just tell Debbie, yeah, I'm gay. And
when we met, you still weren't out to your family, so that was like a point of contention.
Yeah,
so I don't know if I want to date someone that's like still in the closet with their family.
Right.
And so
that was a whole can of worms.
We did.
We
end up dating.
We did, clearly. But yeah, the first day of residency.
Yeah.
And you guys dated for a while through your entire residency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
on to North Dakota.
Yeah, which is my next question. You moved to North Dakota right after residency?
Yeah, straight out.
And what drew you to North Dakota?
Right, it was my job. There's a huge demand for medical care in rural communities. And so if you're willing to go to the middle of nowhere, they're willing to make it worth your while. And so I talked to, we were dating, and I forwarded Eric the email, and I was like, I'll freeze my ass off for this, like the recruitment email.
Yeah.
And Eric's like, you should just go and like, just ask ridiculous things, and just see what happens.
I had no idea that we were going to end up there.
Yeah,
It was
and I did. And they said fine. And so we were still dating, and I was like, do you want to come with me to North Dakota and just see what happens? And lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Can't believe I said yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you did.
Almost very U-Haul lesbian of you guys.
Yeah,
Oh my God, it was. Oh, it was.
We had been dating for like a year and a half. So it wasn't.
Okay.
But there's the difference. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just like second date.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. But it was not that long. I mean, yeah, it was a big leap.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because they actually hired him like a couple years before he finished.
Yeah.
and gave them a retention bonus every year, or whatever it was, to make sure
that I would actually come. They're like, please come.
Yeah.
And you recently moved back to Richmond. Now I know your family's there. Was there any other reason that you moved back to Richmond?
I mean,
Culture.
Culture.
Like,
yes, because my family's there, but that wasn't the main reason. It was actually just because I knew what a great city it was and great institutions with the VMFA.
Totally.
So it was like, it checked a lot of boxes.
yeah, I mean, I think that, like, obviously our existence in the art world was very much centered around us being the weird gay guys in North Dakota, like bringing crazy contemporary art, right? So I was like, how's that gonna, what's gonna happen? But at the same time, I don't think that North Dakota was ever gonna plan to be our forever home.
No, not at all. I thought it was 3 years, then we'd be out.
Yeah, and then it was 12, and we're like, wait, what's happening here? So I think that we were looking for a place that had culture, had restaurants, had all of it. And I think that Richmond was an easy choice because there's such an amazing existing art community there.
And also proximity to New York. Like, we already had an apartment here, and it was so much easier just to get up here from there.
Exactly.
Today we have a childhood favorite of mine, but for copyright we are calling it Filling the Blanks. The team and I made our own for the show, so hopefully we're not the only ones that find them funny. I'm a little worried about that. I made some variations on your name, some that are icy, some that are gay, and some that are arty. We're gonna set a quick timer just so we don't take too long. Don't forget to get creative, that is what we are here for.
Yes.
Give me a place.
The Whitney.
Occupation.
Professor.
Adjective.
Beautiful.
It's one of my difficult words. Noun.
Couch.
Why am I? Why
There's lots of nouns, so you got plenty here.
Another noun.
Another noun.
Did you say couch? Was that the word?
Yes, you can.
Groin.
That one also works.
You can't pre-read it.
Oh my god, sorry. Adjective.
Tall.
A body feature.
Body feature.
Yeah. Big nose.
Okay.
No.
I actually have no idea what that
No, how about large hands?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, large hand. We like large hands.
Body part.
Toe.
Okay. Adverb.
Loudly.
Another noun. One of your.
Oh, let's see. I know it's so hard to think of one. Painting.
You already
Say
did that.
painting. Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm like terrible at this game.
Glasses.
This needs a lot of editing.
Look around. Look
I know.
around.
Well, that's what I did. I saw a painting.
There's a lot
Another
of paintings.
adjective.
Huge.
Huge. Love it.
Jesus, these are long. I did not know I made this long. Oh my god.
Another plural noun. Let's see.
Producers.
Producers.
Shout out. Noun again.
Boomerang.
And then one more.
Microphone.
Oh, that's
Microphone, good one.
There you go.
How did I make these so long? When I was writing these, I was like, these are so short. I'm worried that we're gonna run out of things. I guess not. Plural noun again.
Plural noun. Televisions.
Great. Jesus.
Okay.
Okay.
I did not know I made
We
such
have
a long one.
an epic tale.
It's Odyssey.
An Odyssey.
Yes, there we go. Okay.
Would either of you like to read it, or would you like me to read it to you?
I'll read it.
Okay.
No?
No, you read it.
If you can read my handwriting.
I can read it.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Jenny strolled into the Whitney, eager to see the latest dog on display. As she admired the ugly artwork, the professor approached her with a beautiful smile. "You are absolutely radiant," he said. Jenny, charmed by the compliment, felt a spark of bitterness and soon found herself purchasing an upsetting sculpture that captivated her. I feel like this is like our story, kind of. When she returned home, she eagerly awaited the arrival of dancers who would install her new piece. As they carefully lifted the couch onto the painting, one of their jackets rode up slightly, revealing a glimpse of a funny groin and the hint of a tall, large hand. Jenny stole a quick glance. Her toe ran at the unexpected sight. After the camels left, Jenny found herself slinky, her thoughts lingering on them. She needed a way to shake off this soft energy. Later that afternoon, after indulging in a shiny nap, Jenny woke up feeling colorful. She sat up, stretching loudly before turning her gaze to her new glasses, a huge modernist piece birching with pigeons and sandals. I don't know, I think pigeons and sandals,
that's
right? But something was missing, or rather someone. She longed to see the rats again. An idea struck her. She could buy more producers, and so she did, again and again, boomerang, apple, bouquet, and microphone, until her New York City apartment overflowed with televisions, leaving barely any space to jump. Our lives. But at least every day, her favorite giraffes returned, carrying in yet another swimsuit. Jenny smiled to herself. Her book was beautiful, but so were the ones that ate it to her. Beautiful. Oh, Jenny, she had such an adventure, and it all started with the Whitney. There we go. This is the story of art and our lives.
I want to take a second to talk about your original hyper-specific hobby, reef keeping.
Oh, gosh.
Can you just explain, like, that was crazy when I was researching. Like, can you explain reef keeping, how you got into it, why you left it for art?
Yeah.
Did you see pictures of our tank?
No, there was no pictures of your tank.
Wow. We should
I
post them
searched.
somewhere.
Oh my God.
It was
so,
amazing.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. I mean, I think that there's the idea of color and nature and preservation.
I actually used to work at a pet store when I was in college, so I was into fish too. And when I met Rob and first went to his apartment, he has this big reef tank.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, oh my God, I can't go back to having a fish tank again. It was like such a nightmare, but at the same time, he was very into it.
I was.
And it was really cool.
I like weird hobbies.
Yeah.
And I like, I think I like the idea of, I mean, with reefs, a lot of it is not actually taking things from the reefs, but, you know, preserving things like you can, what's called fragging. So basically you can take pieces of coral and grow them, you know, they're not taken from the reefs.
Yeah, they're captive bred.
Basically. And so just bringing a little piece of nature and color and beauty to the corner of a room.
And it was very scientific. There was, the water testing and gosh.
There's an obsessive aspect to it, to like discovering like each piece of coral and exactly what it needs and where it needs to live in the light and like what kind of lights you have and how the lighting should be. I mean,
oh my gosh, like a nightmare thinking about all that.
No, but as I think about it, there's so many parallels to art.
I was gonna say, this is conserving and preserving art.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Thinking about the lighting, thinking about the position, thinking about how things are going to play together, like talk to each other. There's it's called aquascaping, and it's how you put your corals together. And everyone's always like on all the little Reddit threads, it's like how you do your aquascaping. And I mean, it's very similar to how you show your collection, you know, but we always had this reef tank in the center of our home, kind of in this place of prominence. Yeah. But it was always a huge ordeal. Like, you know, every day you'd have to like check the levels of the salt and so it really kind of took over our lives. And I realized that the hobby was kind of becoming all consuming and a lot less fun.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, but a lot. And we
were traveling more and more. And it was becoming more difficult, increasingly difficult to take care of it.
And so we rehomed all of our coral and all of our fish and all of our snails and everything else. And we hung a painting there instead. And I feel like that's brought exceedingly more joy to our lives than the fish tank ever did. And it was a lot cheaper.
Yeah, really.
too. That's a very reef keeping is a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, I watched a lot of YouTube videos to try and get it explained to me, and I was like, this is just so complex.
It's insane. And doing it from North Dakota, like there
really
are no
crazy.
reef stores. We had to have everything shipped in, and the water was so bad there. Oh gosh.
Yeah. The fracking.
Yeah.
Not great.
Trying to get all those impurities out and like.
Turns out corals don't love frack water. That's not ideal.
So you leave it to pursue art. You put a painting up. I want to talk about some formative art experiences that you both had in your adult life. You saw a Matisse Picasso show at
Yes.
the PS1. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I came here with a friend of mine just for a little trip to New York, and I heard that show was going on. I'd previously taken this friend to the Guggenheim to see the
Cremaster.
Yeah, the Cremaster series.
Yeah.
Barney. And
Yeah.
my friend hated it. Like, he was like, oh
like,
my
I
God, what the fuck is going on here? And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, people like rappelling down the walls or something. I mean, it was like so many
Crazy.
different
I would
aspects
die to
of it.
see that in its entirety.
And that was, I didn't even know what was happening. I just wanted to go to the Guggenheim because I knew the Guggenheim was cool.
visit.
Yeah, and so the other show was going on. I tried to take my friend Justin to that too. He was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to another art show with you.
No
I'm
more
like,
art with
okay.
you.
So I had to figure out how to get there all by myself. And there were all these Europeans on the subway that were like had come here from Europe to see the show. And it made me realize like that people actually chase down art exhibits. I mean, that just was all kind of foreign to me. So that was, it was really formative.
And you had a similar sort of experience with Christo and Jean-Claude's Gates.
I did, yeah. Here in the city,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you didn't know that was here when you came either.
No,
right?
and I had no idea how ephemeral the whole thing was because I just came randomly. My first visit to New York City was taking the Chinatown bus from DC. I wanted to see Wicked. And I was like, I told my friend Betsy, I'm like, get on the bus, we're seeing Wicked. And literally, and when we came and like we did the raffle,
lottery,
the lottery, and we lost. And I was like, fuck it, I'm putting it on a credit card. We're getting tickets. So we went to see Wicked. It was just as magical as I hoped. And then we went to Central Park. I wanted to walk around Central Park, and there were all these like saffron colored gates everywhere. And I was like, what is happening? This is the most amazing thing. I had my film camera that I was like taking pictures of it all with. I still have the photos. They're amazing. And then we went to the Blue Ribbon, and I had bone marrow for the first time. And I was like, what is happening? This is
Very
the most
eye-opening
magical
show.
day of my whole life. It kind of still is.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, it's cool that Christo and Jean-Claude were such a huge part of that. Crazy.
Yeah.
I love them. It's you guys named two of my favorite art pieces of all time, Cremasters by Matthew Barney and
wow.
Anything by Christo and
There you
Jean-Claude.
go.
I wrote 2 papers on that my freshman year.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so, also, did you see Wicked with Idina Menzel?
Okay, so I wasn't sure because I didn't know who she was. No.
Okay.
I missed Idina by like 2 months. I missed Kristen by like a week, but I did see Joel Grey. He was there. So there was the rest of the principal cast I saw, but I missed both of them. I know.
See her in the Redwood.
Yeah, I know. She's back on Broadway.
Yeah,
So
all
we'll
right.
go see her
Next time we're here.
But no, I didn't. I know.
Now,
I should just lie and say I did.
your first sort of joint formative art experience was David Hockney at the De Young Museum.
Yes,
Can you tell us
totally.
about that one?
So we couldn't get married in North Dakota. Because
Obergefell hadn't happened, and
Yeah.
we had to get married in a blue state.
Yeah.
So we decided we'll go to San Francisco. Like, why not? But then we found out that you actually have to plan your wedding at the San Francisco courthouse like 2 years in advance.
in advance.
'cause everybody wants
every
to
gay
get-
person wanted to get
Yeah,
married in San
yeah.
Francisco.
So,
but
we decided we'd go to Oakland
Yeah,
instead. So I had a
Oakland's
friend that
like,
lived
come
in
on over.
Oakland and Alameda, and they could be our witness and whatever. Oakland, nobody's waiting to get married in the Oakland courthouse.
that's true. Well, there were some people because his friend, the only day that she could be our witness was Halloween.
Yeah.
And so we show up to the courthouse to get married on Halloween just because that's when she could do it.
Yeah.
And there were other people that clearly had planned because the two people that got married in front of us was a lesbian couple, and one of them was dressed as Braveheart and the other one was a pirate. And I'm like, okay, you chose this day on purpose. We're just here because this is when we could
yeah,
go.
this was, yeah.
But yeah, so then we spent the week in the city, and I made him wait.
In San Francisco, not in Oakland.
Oh yeah, in San Francisco. And I wanted to go to brunch at some like place on some list, and it was like a 2-hour wait. And Eric's like, oh my God, like if you make me wait 2 hours for brunch, afterwards I'm going to smoke a joint in the park.
I should have done it before brunch. but
Yeah, anyway. So we go to this park because he's
Antsy.
yeah, and it turns out that there's an arts in the park. Like they're having, there's like just this local arts thing, and I was like, oh my God, like these paintings are beautiful. There was
Yeah.
an artist,
Susan Johnson.
Susan Johnson.
We actually bought a work from her.
We
That was,
did.
that was really our first painting, but from an arts in the
Yeah,
park. So.
and I was like, this is a special way to remember this trip and our experience. And we asked her, we want to do something artistic. What do we do? And she's like, well, there's a Hockney show at the De Young. You have to see that.
And we're like, who is Hockney? And
What is the De Young? Like, I don't know. I don't know any of this, but I'm on board. Let's do it. And we went, and I think it just really showed me like how like colorful and queer and like contemporary art can be. Like I had no idea, there were the iPad drawings where you can watch him like draw like paint the paintings. There was
like 4 seasons, the same path
Yes.
that he painted the same path at the beginning of each season.
Yeah.
And you could watch those paintings being created on the iPads and kind of see them like laid out from the central room.
Totally.
And the iPad installations were, like 20 feet by
It was
30
incredible.
feet or
It was
something.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it was very like queer too, like queer portraiture and like color everywhere.
Yeah. So
I'm like starting to track every single purchase in this house. Stories.
Here you are. It's all
it made
making
an impression,
sense.
right?
Yeah, it made a strong impression.
I'm also realizing I think we have the same exact taste.
Yay.
That leads me to my next point. So you buy some works and you develop themes. Can you talk about how and when you realized you guys had a theme in what you buy?
It was actually, I think, when we got Sarah Slappey's painting.
Yeah.
And we realized that we had bought 5 things at that time. Sarah Slappey was the 5th thing from HESSE FLATOW.
Yeah.
And I realized that all the paintings that we had bought were from women.
Yeah.
And I was like joking about a female contemporary art collection or something. And I was like, well, actually, it's not that we set out to do that.
No.
It's just what we were responding to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, these are all very colorful and kind of surreal, and there's an element of like humor, and there's an element of kind of feminism, femininity, and I was kind of surprised by that because I'm like, it's not. I guess it's gay, but it's like it's
Not
also
exactly.
not exactly like, but it's clearly something that we're responding to. The works themselves were like dialoguing with each other. We realized that there was this conversation as we hung them like around our house. I'm like, these are talking to each other,
For sure.
like they're exploring similar themes. This is really cool, and like. When you first start collecting, it's kind of like trying to drink through a fire hose, just you're getting blasted with all of these different things. And I think that was the moment, you're right, with that Sarah Slappey, we're like, wait, this is what we love. Let's lean in, let's have fun.
When did you see the David Winorovich show?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, was that around that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had been collecting a little bit.
Yeah.
But, we were in New York, and we had read a New York Times review for that show and
Yeah.
decided to go check it out.
I was like, there is an artist, David something, with an unpronounceable last name, but Roberta Smith said, we have to see this show, so let's go see the show.
And can you tell the audience about that now in your life famous walk to PPOW after?
Oh, yeah. So we see the show. It's amazing. I'm
crying
The
in
one
the
day
Whitney.
this boy is so moving.
And, I'm reading this and sobbing, and Eric's like, first of all, calm down, but second of all, like, this is really special. And I saw that David's estate was managed by then what we thought PPAL, PPOW Gallery, and I said, they're in Chelsea, we're close to Chelsea, we're going. And we walked over there, and I said, I'm Rob and this is Eric and we're from North Dakota and we had to come over here after seeing David's show. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It made me realize what art can do, what art can be.
And what galleries do.
Yes.
Like this was, going back to earlier, what advice would you give a new collector? I mean, this is how much galleries matter. Because not only do they represent David's estate and championed him when he was still alive and making art.
Yeah.
And now they're putting on shows of his work at the Whitney, and it's like their whole program dovetailed with everything that with social concerns that we had, art appreciation.
Wendy and Penny are so special, and what they have been doing here in the city since the
1980.
Like has changed art, like and I think that like they have been championing these artists for so long, and to see the recognition that these artists are now getting is really, really special because they've been saying this shit's cool for forever. Like and I think that it helped us to be able to realize that there were other people that were celebrating these things and that we could become a part of that by working with them. And I think connecting with the right galleries like PPOW has changed our lives.
Yeah.
Penny, Wendy, please We want you. We talked about it at dinner the other day.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
There you go.
So was that conversation really the catalyst for you guys to really take art collecting seriously?
Yes, it
I
was
think
definitely
so.
part of it. I
Yeah.
think that it helped to demystify like when you're not an art collector, when you don't really know anything about it, and going into an art gallery can seem very overwhelming, and like it's a closed gate. The gate is kept.
Yeah.
But Penny and Wendy just came down and were chatting with us,
Yeah.
and we're like, we weren't anyone. We had 5 paintings, and nobody knew who any of the artists were at the time.
But
So it
we
was
cared.
like, we cared about art.
We were there for the right reasons.
You guys have talked a lot about in those early days of collecting, you were really worried about how people would take you seriously because of where you were living at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, who would want their art?
Yeah.
What artist would really want their art locked away in some house in North Dakota?
Well, yeah, not even that. I mean, it's more just like I thought that they wanted it in like mansions on the
Yeah.
Upper East Side. And I was like, it's in our home and in the middle of literal nowhere. And it turned out they're like, oh, that's super cool. I love that. I think, and what I realized was that like, there can be a bit of an echo chamber here in the city, and like the same people are seeing your work. But when it's out in the world in North Dakota, there are a lot of people that are seeing it that have no conception of
first
contemporary
exposure.
art. And it can blow their minds in a good way.
Yeah, and they were like, you have an orchard? Yeah, let's hang the paintings. with
Yeah,
the orchard.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it was apple orchard or?
We had we had 5
Everything.
different main crops of trees.
Yeah.
Apples, sour cherries, apricots, plums, and pears.
God, I would love to be friends with you guys when it's
Oh
the
my
holidays.
gosh.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It's the one thing I really miss about North Dakota, I think, is
Yes.
yeah.
We gave the best fruit baskets.
We sure did.
And did you see a goal for your collection in this very beginning? Did you see this future of becoming the Icy Gays?
Right.
No, never.
Not at all. In fact, it was like hard to start calling ourselves collectors. I remember when somebody, I think it was Valentine at Perrotin, was like, these are lovely collectors, Rob and Eric. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, we aren't. She's like, yes, you are. You bought something from the gallery. You're a collector. And I think it's kind of hard to accept that. But why? Why do you
I don't
think?
know. I mean, I just was thinking, as a kid, going back to the VMFA, Sydney and Francis Lewis, who in Best Products were like these legendary collectors that had donated all their work to the museum.
Yeah. And it was
And,
Warhol and Basquiat
Yeah.
and,
And I would never have thought, and I still don't really know that we'll ever be like that kind of position. But at the same time, it's like I never thought that we could be art collectors, because art collectors are people that own big corporations and
Right.
have
$1 billion.
Yes. Yeah.
And that wasn't us. And it turns out you don't need to.
Yeah.
Because it's out there. There's amazing paintings. I was like, I'll never forget, we had this budget of like $5,000. And I was like, I don't think you can get anything good for $5,000. And this one's like, I know you can.
Yeah.
Like, you can. And we did.
And I think didn't the Lewises trade like a refrigerator
Yeah.
for a Warhol?
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
It's not like they were buying $100,000 paintings back then. They were just buying what was cutting edge.
Right. And I think that there's an opportunity there for people, for dentists, for doctors, for people that are looking to expand their world.
But for anyone, even like a school teacher and a postal worker.
Everybody.
Right?
Icons of collecting, you two have reached considerable notoriety for your collecting. And as I said in the pre-interview, I worked in the art world for 2 weeks. It was my first armory fair. And someone came up to me and I was like, oh, who are those? And I asked her and they're like, they might be the Icy Gays. I'm not sure. And that's when I looked you guys up for the first time. So did you ever think that you were going to achieve this level of proliferation?
No, never.
No,
That was
not at all. I think, when people started reaching out to us, I was like, why are we going to talk to these people? What's going on? And I realized that it's fun to share who you love. You know, I'm like, look at this shit. It's cool. And we love it. And I think giving the opportunity to amplify the voices of these artists, the reason that we buy these works is because we think they're special.
Yeah.
And it's fun to tell that to other people. And we started telling anybody that would listen. And, here we are. So we're happy to keep talking about it.
Yeah, I just feel like you guys really champion, with the Horts have always said, just buy what you love. If you buy stuff that you think is going to grow in value, you're never going to actually like your art. If you just buy things you like, it's going to
totally.
do its thing.
100%. Yeah, I want to enjoy the art we live with.
Right. Well, it's true. And I think that, but I'll give Eric a huge amount of credit on this because I feel like I tend to want to buy the list or go or eat at the restaurants on the list. And Eric's like, I want to make the list.
For sure.
And I think that having your own perspective and having your own view and trusting yourself enough to do that is special. And it gives you a collection that's meaningful and personal. And I think that doing that as a couple has been a special experience too.
Yeah, definitely. Learn a lot about each other. Yeah. And art collecting.
That's true.
Which is a great segue into my next question. Thank you. You're really setting it up for me.
There we go.
I'm really fascinated by your collaborative taste. I think it's what drew me to wanting to speak to you guys in the first place. As we said, you buy what you love, but everything you love seems to gain traction. So what do you think is there?
I don't know how it happens.
Have no idea. Yeah, we don't know.
But I think maybe, Rob and I have very compatible personalities, but they're very different in a lot of ways. He's more science, I'm more humanities, he's more...
1 + 1 = 2. And
also,
he's very, or does it?
Yeah, what numbers
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that.
I'm curious, do you guys know your star signs?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a Virgo.
Gemini.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very
But I don't believe in it. I know astrology's really hot right now, but I have thoughts.
I don't know. I feel like
Maybe
my
it's true.
personality argues against that statement.
I feel like you're a Gemini.
I'm very that.
And you're a Virgo. Not that
I know
believe in
it's
it,
true.
but
I know it's true.
There's something there.
Do you think the skill at all stems from your academic background?
I mean, I do. Retrospectively, I think when we started collecting art, I was moving away from political theory, but I still think that my thoughts about philosophy and theory really influenced the kind of art we bought. Yeah. And it's not really a one-to-one relationship. I'm not looking for overtly political art.
Right.
But I think I am looking for art that challenges anything that's any kind of existing norms. Yeah. Because that's how society evolves, is pushing something new that was initially not understood or respected, and eventually that's what becomes the mainstream. And
you guys have this unbelievable skill to find artists before anyone else. I think when I talk to people, they're when I talk to Karen HESSE FLATOW, she's like, they beat me every time. And even in making this season, you guys beat me to a couple of events. Do you what is the process of searching for you? This is mainly for me because I have to search for this show.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think being open and listening, because talking to artists,
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, we do often find out about new artists from artists that we already have a relationship with. Yeah. The best way to find out, is to ask them who their friends are and what other artists they like. But, when we first started out, it was through the internet. And it was through just articles on, I guess, Artsy. I'm not sure what we were looking at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember finding Sophie Larrimore's first painting, and I thought, well, this must be in a museum. It's so cool. Yeah. It's this the most amazing. It looks so Memphis, and I feel like it must be 30 years old or something. And it was for sale, and it was a new artist that no one knew about Sophie at the time, and it was really just something that I loved and gravitated towards, and that's why we chose to buy that work.
Yeah, and live with it. And I think that's it. I feel like there's an element of looking for honesty too. People that are being themselves and just making something because they have to make it. Not because it's what they should be making or it's the right thing to be making. It's about I have to do this.
Right.
There's this passion and this urge to create.
To get it out there into the world.
Yeah, and you feel it when you see it. We walk through a fair and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh wait. Yeah. And when you have that oh wait moment, I think that you sit up and pay attention.
Yeah, gotta listen to that.
Yeah.
You guys, as we said, recently moved to Richmond. Now, you have been collectors for a long time now, but you have recently shifted to being gallerists as well. Can you talk
this
about
one.
That's more me. Rob's still, full-time surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I got to Richmond, I actually ran into a friend of mine, Lauren Mills, who owns Exhibition A, and we started talking. It was my second day there, and I had been thinking about opening a space once I got to Richmond, and she was also thinking about it. She asked me if I wanted to curate a show at the new space she was opening, and I was like, oh, I've got kind of bad news. I'm going to do that too. So we decided it would be better if we just kind of collaborated together to make...
Join forces.
Yeah, to make main project. And I just wanted more people to see great art. And we can only buy but so much art.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe, at least I could show it and try to encourage other people to buy it too.
Have there been any growing pains that you've experienced with that?
With the gallery?
Yeah.
I mean, we're only a month in. So yes, and it's like... I didn't realize how much gallerists have to do. And not to say that I didn't think that I thought their job was easy. That's by no means it. But just the amount of organizing and, just emails
Logistics.
to be sent and then to try to sell the work, that's boy, I just kind of thought it would sell itself because it's
That's
so
not
cool.
the case.
But just to reach out and try to get people to come in, I mean, it's a whole other side of the art world that I was not familiar with. And it's good to see it. It's good to learn that.
And did your show at the Plains Museum have anything to, any motivation for that? And did you feel that was a good farewell to North Dakota?
Oh, it was
Definitely.
great. Yes.
Grand finale.
Yes. We came, we saw, we conquered.
I mean, I do feel like that because the goal was always to bring this incredible art to a place where it may not typically be.
Right.
And I think we were able to celebrate that through the Instagram, and then through people coming over to our home and having dinner parties and everything else. But to do it on the level that the Plains afforded us was really incredible. They had record attendance during the show. I mean, at the opening evening, there was young queer kids getting excited about Salman Toor.
Thinking they would never see something like that.
Yeah, and
because a lot of people there have never even seen the ocean. North Dakota is so isolated.
Yeah.
And I mean, not necessarily Fargo people, but North Dakota in general. It's surprising how many people don't leave that part of the country.
And so, yeah.
Was a chance to really bring something kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have it on that level and have such success and such amazing
And so much
response.
support from the museum.
Amazing.
I mean, they really
they were incredible.
bent over backwards to make that show to actualize our vision.
It definitely was the grand finale of North Dakota for us.
And they just won an award for it.
They did.
So-
Yes. It was a local award, but we'll take it.
Our award-winning show at the Plains Museum.
Voila.
Yeah.
Wait, now, speaking of farewells, we are out of time.
Oh, boo.
Aw.
But I have one more question. Are there any other blanks you plan to fill in the art world?
Oh.
That's a good question.
Television. No. I'm just kidding.
I think
Any positive manifestations?
Yeah.
there we go. Being patrons,
Yeah.
of museums and being more involved in the greater arts community as supporting and celebrating institutions, really. I mean, I think that's the goal at this point.
But also just to keep building our collection. I mean, that's I think our number one priority.
And continue to bring fun to the art world. It
Yes,
doesn't all
yes,
have to
for
be
sure.
quite so serious.
Yeah.
Have some fun, people. This is crazy stuff. Let's celebrate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say with the art world, it's so fun and stupid. You hang a painting and it looks awful. You move it an inch, it looks
It looks
amazing.
amazing,
Yes!
yeah.
No reason to take that seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love it.
Yeah. Can you tell me where to find you online?
Well, Instagram.
Yeah.
At the Icy
At
Gays.
the Icy Gays.
And then you have a page on the collectors. Can you just quickly tell the audience?
Yes. So there's a website called Collectors, and it's where we share
EURS.
Yeah, and it's where we share our collection. So if you go on that website, it has a link to our collection as well.
70% of it.
Most
We
of
need
it.
to update that page.
We do.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please don't forget to like, comment, and follow if you're on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at FillingTheBlankShow and TikTok at FillingTheBlank. You can find us online at fillingtheblank.co. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob and Eric, the iconic Icy Gays. Please stay icy and gay. And
Will do.
thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.